The last time someone asked me to do a gel effect was quite a long time ago, and it was a pretty manual procedure. But now, thanks to layer styles, it's been like this for a while, I guess, but since I've done it, it's pretty easy now, thanks to layer styles. All I've done is create a little background with some little gray lines so you can see what's going on, and I'm going to take my rounded corner rectangle tool. I put the radius fairly high because I would like the corners to be quite rounded to make it look kind of like a button type shape. And I've chosen a color, and of course this could be any color, but whatever color you choose, that's going to become kind of the theme of this button. So here we go. Basically from now on it's just going to the layer style dialog box. So the first thing, and I'm going to move this so that you can't see the OK button, you can see just about everything else. First of all, I want this to be kind of a semi-see-through button, so I'm going to change the opacity and also the fill opacity just a little bit. And also, this is a very important option, blend interior effects as a group. You'll see later on when if I try to put one object on top of another, this will get a much better, more kind of a see-through look to it. So let's start building it. First of all, I'm going to use a drop shadow. I'm going to pick a color based on this one. So I clicked on the color picker, chosen this color, and then just got to a darker version of the same one. I've got my angle to 90%. I'm going to increase the distance and the spread and the size. Now for many of these things, your settings, of course, will be a little bit different depending on the circumstances. So this is the color I'm going to use for this, and also for the inner shadow. So basically I want to use pretty much the same kind of shade as I had before. I'm going to just have the same angle. We're going to put the distance up quite a bit, and the choke up quite a bit, and also the size. If I move this out, you can sort of see the effect. We're already starting to get a little bit of the effect that we want. Then we're going to go to an outer glow. We're going to choose a lighter version of the same color, and basically just have the opacity down a little bit, and we'll change the size and the spread just a little bit. This one will be kind of a subtle. You won't see that big. You just see a little bit of a difference with it. So actually we'll probably lower this even more. Alright, and then we'll go to inner glow, and here we're going to once again try and use one of our darker shades. We want the blend mode, however, to be multiply. I want the size to be a fair bit larger, and maybe choke just a little bit. Now the key I want you to do with all of this is be willing to experiment. This is where the fun really starts, when you start playing with all these things. So for example, in this case I'm going to bevel and emboss, put the size up. Now normally you would be looking at it like this, you could really see what you're doing for the full effect. I really don't have that luxury here, but we're going to soften up a little bit, and we're going to, now this might be a different number. Mine was set to this from before, so you want to put this to be a fairly high number, probably in a low resolution like this, somewhere in the 60 type range will probably do the trick. And the other thing I want to do here is I don't want the shadow to be quite as obvious, so I'm going to lower it down pretty low, if not to zero, certainly a very small percentage, just adding a little bit of an effect there. Where you can start to really tweak it, if you click on the contour button, this is a pop-up menu of other choices, but if you're willing to experiment even further, you can also just click right in the middle of it, and it comes up with a little curve that you can actually start playing with and experimenting and see what that does to your image. So you may choose to use your own like this, or you may choose to not use it at all, or use one of the built-in ones as well. I think we're just going to stick with a very basic. I'm just going to pull this up just a little bit like that. And the last thing we'll probably do here is just to try and add a bit more complexity, I guess you could call it, to this, is we're going to go back and pick a lighter version of this color. We're going to keep the opacity pretty low, 50%. I'm going to probably change this so we're pretty much on the same level here. Set the distance pretty high, though, and the size. And in this case, whoops, wrong place. I meant to click on the pop-up menu. I'm going to choose this option called Ring. And again, some of these settings you'll find are fairly subtle, but just adds a bit more kind of texture and interest to it. So then I click OK, and we've got our basic shape turning into this kind of gel button type look. Now, as soon as I did that, one of the first things I would want to do, personally, is go to my Styles palette and click on the Style, New Style, and call it something just so I have a backup plan. But here's the beauty of course, doing this. If now I were to take my Type tool and type something in, and now want to have the same effect, if I had this available, I certainly could drag it, but because I have it in the Styles box, I can just click on it. Now, at first glance, it doesn't look very good, and that's because I created it on a much bigger object. So here's what we need to do. Right or control-click right on that layer style indicator, and you'll see right on the bottom is an option called Scale Effects. It does not use scrubby sliders, so you'll have to pop it up, and then as you scale it down, you can see how you can start to get the kind of gel effect that you want there. And let's duplicate that and offset it like this. This is to show you that step we did before to give our little bit of opacity, and that blend interior thing just gives us this nice kind of semi-see-through look. Something like that. And of course, the nice thing is you can experiment to your heart's content with this, with all different colors and all different possibilities. Of course, I arbitrarily picked this color. You can pick any one, just use different shades, or you can change it at the fact using hue saturation adjustment layers. It's pretty darn easy. I'm Dave Cross. I'll see you next time. Isn't that lovely?